Okay, nice.
It's all crazy. That one's all crazy. Why are you all crazy, sir? Alright guys, so the first official Home Depot run of the build is complete. I actually had to come out and get lumber for the floor. And now I just have to go pick up my animal from my parents because I'm coming back from that concert in Cleveland right now. So I'm gonna go pick up Luna, head back home, probably take the night off because it's been a long couple days. And then tomorrow is Sunday and I'm gonna get building on the floor. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm gonna start taping these pieces together and then use this super handy marker on a spoon. Yes, I have Harry Potter spoons, it's fine. To kind of trace the contour, I don't know if you can see this, but trace the contour of the van so that then I can cut it out effectively. Okay guys, so I've completed my template. It's pretty good. So next steps is I've got my plywood leaning up here. Really can't tell where I'm pointing with this. Anyways, I got the plywood here. And I am going to lay this out on the plywood, trace it out. So I've got that done before this can go too crazy on me. And then I have my 2x2s that I'm gonna start fitting in and cutting into place. So there are like 1,000 different ways that you can do the floor. I don't think that there's any wrong way per se, but I chose the way that makes the most sense to me for my needs and just logically in my head, in my head it made the most sense. It also means that I don't have to drill any more holes in the floor of my van. And after the struggle I went through to get all of the holes filled.
That's what she said. Oh, no, not that. Just come on, you guys.
I'm gonna pull this bad boy out. I'm going to trace it out onto my plywood. And then I'm going to start cutting the supports for the van. Now to trace it out, and then I can go in on the struts. I'm actually gonna adjust it because I don't like where the seam is sitting on the wheel wells. It's creating like a really sharp angle, so I'm gonna move it a little bit. But happy? How did I do this? What are you stuck on? Okay. Okay. But you fixed it, so it's good now. How do neither of us see a thing under this?
It's hard to say, but look, floor. Woo!
Huzzah. It's a floor.
I'm on your floor.
It's a floor.
I know.
So that means
Floor.
I can waterproof it all tomorrow. Glue it down. It's tomorrow, Wednesday. Glue it down on Thursday.
Holy balls. Okay, yeah.
Leave it weighted overnight, and then if I can figure out
What are you weighting it with?
things for my home.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna start laying all of these planks that I have for the structure of the floor. I really don't know how I want these to go yet. I have some really geeky diagrams that I did just to figure out how much wood I needed to buy, but in actual practice that may be different. So I'm gonna mess around with that for a little bit and just see. There are some givens, like I know I can only do 3 across because there's only 3 places where these ribs aren't in the way. So it's really just how many can I fit across, how many do I want across, and how obnoxious is that gonna make cutting my insulation later. I realize I'm just standing here looking, but to me it makes sense. I definitely want one along the edge of the door, like my ingress and egress, because there's just gonna be so much traffic there. I want that part of the floor fully supported. Same with the back. I'll be sliding stuff in and out of the garage all the time. I wanna make sure that that's fully supported so there's no chance for the wood like breaking down from too much wear and like bending and crusting away basically. Both of those will have like a protective edge on them too, but I really just want to make sure that they're properly supported. Sir, why are you yelling at me? Is this normal? Okay guys, today is the day. I am waterproofing all of my subfloor. So I've sanded off all of the really rough pieces. It was a really dull process. It's not really worth seeing, especially since I don't have a sander right now, so it was just me with my sanding blocks. But I am going outside to do the first coat of the waterproofing. I haven't really established if I need more than 1 coat. I'll find out. But for now, I'm gonna start at least the first, perhaps only, coat of the waterproofing. Okay, so I've got the subfloor set up, and I'm honestly starting to think that this whole endeavor is going to be like a giant game of really annoying Jenga, because anytime I shift even one thing, everything else attached to it shifts. So I don't know how permanent this liquid nail stuff is once you put it down. Part of me hopes that it's like really permanent so that things don't shift as I'm moving around in here and like trying really hard not to step on things. But also, if I set it down wrong or I shift it wrong and something needs to be shifted, I want it to not be so permanent. So this is gonna be a really interesting game we're playing here. So right now, I'm just trying to make sure that all the pieces aren't shifted all crazy. That one's all crazy. Why are you all crazy, sir? aren't shifted all crazy, so that I'm at least starting from a sane space. But then as I walk around, I'm having to like tippy-toe through these. I foresee this not going well. Did I stop and get ice cream from the ice cream truck? Yes. Do I feel any shame about it? No. So, per usual with the van build, that was a lot more work than I was anticipating. First of all, discovering I don't have great hand strength, which is not shocking, but that extreme bond stuff I got to stick down all of the supports was really hard to get out of my caulk gun. So, great, that was super fun. My forearms hurt. Secondly, it was just a lot of like really delicate moving things around to make sure I didn't throw off the whole jigsaw puzzle of my supports. So, as you can see, I've got it weighted down with an assortment of things, most of which are from my friends Lauren and Ron.
What are you weighting it with?
Things from my home. Who are basically my van's godparents at this point. I'm using their tools. Lauren helped me cut these things. She helped me put in the kill mat. She helped me paint the floor. And all of these not super colorful weights you see floating around in here are theirs. The very green and very blue ones are obviously mine. Very serious gym goer here, guys.
Dwight Schrute's Gym for Muscles.
Anyways, they had a bunch of weights and these bags of concrete that they oh so generously let me go and steal from them today to place haphazardly around the van to get this weighted down. So the stuff underneath the subfloor, the supports, I can speak, is supposed to cure for 24 hours. So I just want it sufficiently weighted down so that everything is making contact with the floor so I won't have creaks later. So that's what's going on here. And then tomorrow after work, I will go buy the insulation and cut to fill, you can't see them, but cut to fill all of the holes in between the supports. And then I can drill this bad boy down and I have a floor. So that's the plan. Okay, so this all cured overnight. I just got done taking the weights off the top of it. Seems like it's all pretty secure back here. So now what I'm doing is I have this very questionable drawing where I'm labeling all the spaces to put the insulation. And hopefully I can make a cut plan so that I can get away with just... I only bought 2 boards, so I'm hoping that will be enough to fill the space. Not kidding, this has been my least favorite job so far. I am not great at precision tasks, and precision tasks over and over and over again when you feel like you're getting nowhere, and also I think I should have been wearing a mask while I was cutting this stuff. Great. Okay guys, so I thought I would stop for a second and talk about why I chose the insulation that I did for the floor. I'll go into this a little bit further when I get into the insulation for the actual van, but for the floor, generally you want to use one of the rigid foam board types of insulation. This really has to do with the fact that it stands up to compression. So when insulation gets compressed, it loses a lot of its R value. R value basically just refers to a material's resistance to heat transfer. When we talk about R value, it's always, we don't want heat traveling. So even when it feels like the cold is coming in from the outside, it means that the heat is transferring from the inside of your warm van to the outside. So R value is the material's ability to stop that heat transfer. R value is typically measured per inch. So when you see something that has an R value of like 3, that is per inch of insulating material. What are you doing, babes? Hi. Once I had decided I wanted to do a foam insulation for my flooring, I looked into what is available. So most commonly you'll see like that XPS board, which is the pink board that you see in hardware stores that's often used in construction projects. That does have a great R value. It actually does perform better in cold weather than the board that I chose, but it is absolutely horrible for the environment to make. There are other kinds of foam board. There's one called EPS, which is super similar. And then there are options like Reflectix, and you see people do it looks kind of like a foil coating on the inside of their van. That's what that is. That has a really low R value, and I am cold literally always. So that was not on the table for me. So the board that I chose is called R-Tech, and it's kind of, as I understand it, it's kind of like if EPS and polyiso had a higher R value baby. Sure. It has a lot of the qualities of the EPS board, but it has a much, much higher R value. So like nearly double the R value. It is much friendlier to the environment to make. It's not going to off-gas or have any particles that come off of it. It's not friable like that, so it's not going to be something I'm breathing in once it's locked down under there. I will say that because of the way that I've done my flooring, I am increasing the thermal bridges that could potentially bring more cold air into my van. That is because the cold metal will be directly touching the wood, directly touching the floor, directly touching my actual top flooring level. But I'll deal with it. I'd much rather have a secure floor than be futzing around with eliminating those thermal bridges. I also didn't film a ton of the foam cutting process. I will say, like I said in the video itself, it was by far and away my least favorite project thus far. It was a finicky, pain in the butt project. It made a huge mess in my yard. Anytime that I wanted to put one down and actually fit it into place, I had to go in and vacuum because that stuff just sheds everywhere. It was not the most difficult process I've had so far, but it was for sure the most annoying. I also don't want to fall down like a whole wood rabbit hole, but the wood that I chose, I mostly chose because it was what was available and it wasn't rated for outdoor. I saw some builds where they do get the like indoor-outdoor plywood, which was appealing to me from a moisture management standpoint, but those types of plywood that have been treated for outdoors, those ones that end in X, so like ABX, those have been treated and they off-gas, which is not a problem when you have them outdoors, but again, 60 square feet of living space, myself and my very small dog, just not messing around. Those finishes, when you're talking about plywood, I'm not an expert, but just baseline information. When you're talking about plywood, the first 2 letters that you see refer to the finish. So A is going to be the nicest. It doesn't have any gaps or cracks or filler in it. D is going to be unfilled with gaps with knots and things like that, with bigger size gaps. B and C are going to be somewhere in the middle. So B may have some blemishes that have been filled. C is going to be even more rough with bigger blemishes, and I can't remember if that's filled or not, but that's the gamut. The first letter you hear is the front or the facing side of the plywood. The second letter you hear, did I say number before? Whatever. The second letter you hear is the back side. So if it's A, C, B, D, whatever, the first is the front, the second is the back. So what I purchased was an AB indoor sanded plywood because I am lazy and didn't want to sand it. I probably could have gotten away with a B or C finish, but it is what it is. So I did decide to break this video up. I did intend initially to do the whole floor as one, but as you can see, it's a beast of a project. And rather than make like a 40-minute video, I figured I would split this in two. So for this part of the video, I am not going to do a cost analysis, cost breakdown, because I really just don't feel like doing the math to figure out what I spent to this point and break it all out. But at the end of the next video, the part 2 of my flooring video, I will do the full cost. That said, total cost, TBD, we will get to that. But total time, this brought me all the way up to August 12th. So that is exactly 3 weeks from the purchase of my van. Here we go. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is part 1 of 2 for the floor installation. Tune in next week to get the rest of the floor and see the finished product. As always, please like and subscribe. Have a good one. So I think, I also like the wide plank of this one. I think it's gonna be this one. I like this little bit here belongs here. So, great work to me.